Hello everyone and welcome to another Always Flying video. This is another news video, a type of video that I post every 2 weeks, so be sure to check all my other news videos. So let's jump right into what happened in the past 2 weeks in aviation news. On February 1st, an Aeroflot A320 flying from Moscow had some seats catch on fire after explosion from a battery. So watch this video. I think it's really horrifying what these people went through, because the airplane was flying. However, I also want you guys to note, the US government's, weird policies. In March of last year, an electronics ban was placed on Middle Eastern airlines, meaning that people could not carry devices larger than a smartphone onto an airplane. That meant that items like laptops, tablets, and cameras would have to go into the cargo hold. On the Aeroflot incident, at least the fire was in the cabin, where flight attendants were able to properly extinguish the fire. However, if it were in the cargo hold, then the story could have been way different. We've already seen things like this happen on American Airlines, although not really that bad, but it could get way worse, especially if the government is making people put their larger items in the cargo hold, where they could have a higher chance of catching on fire with more items with batteries in the cargo hold. So that's why I want to end that story. The next story is of the TSA. The Orlando Sentinel reported that the Orlando airport considered to oust the TSA in favor of private, not government-run workers. Quote unquote, "We need the airport to provide space for 19 additional lanes to process people in an even more timely manner," said Jerry Henderson, a TSA Federal Security Director. Keep in mind that the TSA failed about 95% of the time to find mock-banned items, including weapons and explosives. Wait, let me think. They failed 67 times out of 70 times. So 67 divided by 70 is 0.957. So it's more like failing 96% of the time. I think that all airports should consider, ousting the TSA in favor of private companies, because the TSA takes so much time and doesn't really give any results. Then again, there needs to be more government regulations, and the TSA should still, boost whatever they're doing. Adam Ruins Everything has a great video on the TSA, so you should check that out. Our next story is still about the TSA, but on a brighter note, or much worse note, depending on how you're thinking of it. In 2017, the TSA found 3,959 guns at airport checkpoints. That's a 17% increase from 2016. Now, that's better because now they're finding more guns, meaning that our skies are more safe. But it could also be bad because it could symbolize, maybe there might be more guns flying in the air anyways. That's where I want to end that. Moving on to our next topic, which is that someone found poop on a Delta flight blanket. Seriously, take a look.
I was on Delta. I was on a flight from Louisiana to Atlanta, then heading back to LA. And I was on the descent, and I was very chilly, so I said, better cover up. And I pulled out the blanket out of this sealed plastic bag, open it, a little brown crumble falls on me. I was like, oh me, oh my, what hath that be? But I forge ahead because I'm chilly. So I open it more, and I see this brown thing in it, so I drop it because I was like, is it an animal? What is it? So then I open it with my foot. This man's staring at me. I'm in first class, thank you. And the smell hits me, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I think that's a piece of poop. And then we landed, and I went up to the flight attendant. I was like, do you have hand sanitizer? I think there's a piece of poop in my blanket. He was like, girl, no. And I said, yes, girl, yes, go look. So he goes, he looks, and he goes, oh my God, I gotta get my phone.
Moving on. I'm sure you guys already know, but Lufthansa has a new livery. Personally, I like it, but they could have done a way better job. The text could have been in, a different font. They could have still kept yellow, because yellow and blue is what makes them iconic. and a lot of aviation fans are hating this. Lucky from 1 Mile at a Time points out, quote unquote, going forward their logos will be blue and white or yellow and white, as you can see. You'd think a single consistent logo for an airline would make sense. That's why I find it weird that check-in counters will have a yellow and white logo and planes will have a blue and white logo, etc. Isn't that unnecessarily complicated? And that's where I want to end that. And a few more pictures. And just a quick note for all of you Marriott and Starpoint members, Marriott announced a huge devaluation. 1,082 properties are moving up in a category or increasing in prices and points, while only 247 are moving down. That's more than 20% of hotels that are increasing in price and points, so you guys should all buy hotels using points before these changes are implemented on March 5th. And our next story is kind of interesting, shall I say the least. I'm reading off of the script and I'm too lazy, so here's what the Miami Herald wrote about this. Quote unquote, before Belden Aldecosia flew home from college to South Florida, she twice called Spirit Airlines to ensure she could bring along a special guest. Pebbles, her pet dwarf hamster. No problem, the airline told her, but when Aldalasa arrived at the Baltimore airport, Spirit refused to fly the tiny animal on the flight. With her only friends hours away at campus, Aldalasa was stuck. She says an airline representative suggested flushing Pebbles down an airport toilet, a step that Spirit denies. Panicked and needing to return home promptly to deal with a medical issue, Aldecosia unsuccessfully tried renting a car and agonized for hours before doing the unthinkable. She flushed Pebbles. Alright, summarizing. Basically, there's this college student who has a pet hamster as an emotional support pet, or animal. She called twice to Spirit Airlines to make sure that she was allowed to bring it on board. But then at the airport, she was told that she was not allowed to. She basically chose flushing down her, pet because of no other choice. So, that's that. Alright, for new routes, WestJet announces transatlantic flights from Halifax to London and Halifax to Paris using the 737 MAX. Primera Air is adding flights from Washington to London. If you don't know, Primera Air is a small airline that hasn't even flown a single flight, yet has 10 aircraft on order. They will fly from a few East Coast cities to a few West Coast cities on Airbus A321neo aircraft. I'm curious to see if they're able to lower flight prices on these routes given how small their aircraft are. Nevertheless, it's good to see more competition. Both WestJet and Primera Air routes are made possible by small yet longer range aircraft, something I look forward to flying one day. And also these create more new routes because now airlines can fly long and thin routes and still make money. So that's basically the end of today's news segment, and I want to end with the note that, well, the Boeing 747 has turned 49 years old since its first flight a few days ago. So thank you all for watching. I hope you guys can like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.